Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have swatches for you from the Beach Break Collection from KB Shimmer. These are available right now, so in the description box below I will link the KB Shimmer site, I will link their Instagram page, and I will link my Instagram page where you can see more swatches of everything from this collection. 2, this is my first time filming since everything is happening in the world, and I just wanted to say that I hope everybody is staying safe, but it's not something that I'm going to be discussing on my channel. This is more of a fun, relaxing, watching nail polish applied channel, so I don't quite want to talk about things like that on my channel. But I do acknowledge it, and I know it's happening, and I hope everybody is doing okay. So we do have 9 new polishes to look at today, and let's go ahead and get started. So first we have Not Today, and this is described as a creamy white base with shifting metallic flakes in pink, green, blue, and gold. So here is our first coat of Not Today. The flakes that are in here aren't overwhelming. They are pretty sparse, but as you build up each coat, you will have more of a 3D effect with those flakes. This does have a good formula, very smooth, just a little bit sheer. So here is our second coat, and that's building up well in 2 coats, but I could still make out a bit of nail line, so I am going to go in for a third coat. But if you're not super picky, you could probably get this one opaque in 2. If you add that third coat, you are going to build up another layer of flakes as well. So here is our third coat, and that does cover completely in 3 coats. This is going to dry nice and glossy all on its own. Some of these larger flakes can dry with a bit of texture though, so I still would recommend top coat, either glossy or matte, but nothing in this is going to be difficult to remove. So there's 3 coats. Up next we have Sunkissed, and this is described as a bright and bold multichrome featuring a sunny lemon yellow giving way to softer hues of orange, gold, and blush. Here's our first coat of Sunkissed. So this covers really well here on this first coat considering the color it is. I am pretty impressed with this. It also has a really good formula. I didn't have any kind of staining with this one, but I would recommend wearing a base coat because this color does tend to stain a good amount of people. So here's our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2 coats. There are some brush strokes through this shimmer when it's wet. Those do go away as it dries though. This will dry nice and glossy. Nothing's going to dry textured or be difficult to remove, and this is extremely shifty. So there is 2 coats. Next up we have Turtley Awesome, and this is described as a metallic shade loaded with lime flakes that also flash gold. There's also a scattering of gold hollow glitters. Here's our first coat of Turtley Awesome. This one is a little bit more sheer on the first coat, but again it does have a very good formula. The KB Shimmer brush fits my cuticle line really well, and it does make application very easy. I also didn't have any running, pooling, or staining here. So here's our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2 coats for me. Depending on your application, again, you might want to go in for 3. This is going to dry with a slight bit of texture, so you will want top coat for that reason, and removal is going to take a little bit of scrubbing. So there is 2 coats. Up next we have Mermaid in the Shade, and this is described as a pale violet purple base, accented with a shimmer that shifts in a rainbow of hues. You can see pops of pink, copper, gold, lime blue, and indigo. Here's our first coat of Mermaid in the Shade. This covers really well here on this first coat. It's not a one coater by any means, but it does cover really well for being such a shifty multi-chrome. Again, a very smooth formula, no running, pooling, or staining. The shifty shimmer that's in here is very strong, but under my artificial lighting, you're only going to see one color. So here's our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2 coats. Some of these shimmery polishes can look more sheer on camera than they are in person, but I am showing you the same amount of coats in my swatch photos. Again, this one's going to have some brush strokes when it's wet, and those do dissipate when it dries, so there's 2 coats. Up next we have Water Relief, and this is described as a pale mint crelly loaded with color shifting flakes that go from a soft orangey copper to bright gold and lime. Here's our first coat of Water Relief. This one is absolutely loaded with those flakies. It does cover pretty well here on this first coat. I am going to go ahead and build this one up though. Those flakes don't take any kind of manipulation to spread around. They do apply nice and evenly. So here's our second coat, and for the most part this covers in 2 coats, but I did have a couple of spots that needed a little bit of extra love, so I am going to show you what 3 coats looks like. This is one of those polishes that you do want to let dry completely between coats before adding the next coat, otherwise you can move those flakes around. So there is that 3rd coat. This one is going to look really beautiful, glossy and matte, and these larger flakes can dry with some texture, but removal's easy. So there's 3 coats. Up next we have the Titus Right, and this is described as a bold aqua color that dances with a bright emerald shade as well as hints of deeper navy. Here's our first coat of the Titus Right. So I'm also extremely impressed with the coverage on this one. It's very shifty and yet very opaque. I didn't have any kind of staining with this, but I would recommend using a base coat just because it is very opaque. The shimmer that's in here is very strong and very shifty. So here's our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2 coats. This one doesn't dry dull, but it doesn't dry extremely glossy either, so you will still want a top coat for this, and it won't be difficult to remove, so there's 2 coats. Up next we have Where My Beach Is At, and this is described as a bold orchid thermal polish loaded with flakies in green, pink, orange, and gold. Whenever this is warm, it does fade to a pale violet, almost white shade. Here's our first coat of Where My Beach Is At. So this one is pretty sheer here on this first coat. Again, a smooth, easy to work with formula though, and you do get a ton of these flakes out. They do lie evenly across the nail. You don't have to work to get them to do so. Here's our second coat, and this is a thermal, and for some reason my pinky is extremely hot, so you can see that's the warm state and the rest of my nails will be in the cold state. This is going to dry fully matte, so you will want top coat if you don't love that finish, and it'll dry with a slight bit of texture, but nothing's difficult to remove. So there is 2 coats. Next up we have I'll Drink to That, and this is described as a sparkly metallic shade full of hollow bits and platinum flakes. Here's our first coat of I'll Drink to That. This one's pretty opaque on this first coat, and it's super reflective, so it does help distract from any kind of nail line, but I am still going to go ahead and show you what 2 coats looks like. This has a very good formula, very smooth, easy to work with. So here is our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2 coats. The top coat will definitely help bring this all together as a full manicure, and it does dry with a slight bit of texture, so it'll help there as well. This doesn't stick to your nail like glitter, but it does get messy. So there is 2 coats. And lastly for today we have Lover's Coral, and this is described as a soft coral leaning pink. It does shift gold and green at different lights and angles, and a rainbow of linear hollow. And here's our first coat of Lover's Coral. This covers pretty well here on this first coat. Not quite a 1-coater, so I am going to go in for a second coat, but a very smooth, very easy to work with formula. The hollow that's in here is going to become more apparent when the polish is fully dry. Here's our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2 coats. This one does dry dull, so you will want top coat for that reason. Nothing is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove, and the shimmer that's in here doesn't fight with the hollow, which I love. So there's 2 coats. I have a surprising few standouts in the collection for me. The first one being the Titus Right. I love the green that's in here. The green flash that's in here is so beautiful, and it's so oceanic and mermaidy. I think it's really, really gorgeous. It has this beautiful range from the green to a dark blue to a purple. It's got like aqua flashes to it. Really, really gorgeous. My next favorite would be Water Relief. I think the flakes that are in here are stunning. They shift so beautifully in such a light base, and it looks really gorgeous with a matte top coat. And then my probably favorite of the collection would be Mermaid in the Shade. This is a stunning multi-chrome. I'm not a huge fan of just plain multi-chromes, but this one is really shifty and really, really beautiful. So the blues were the standout in the collection for me. And guys, that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this collection. Let me know if you plan on picking any of them up, and let me know what your favorite was. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time.